Mr. Sunder Kalyanam is the Group Managing Director, Engineering and Construction Growth, India, Asia, the CIS in Sub-Saharan Africa, and Chairman of Petrofac India. He joined Petrofac in 1992 and has held a range of operational and management roles across the group. In his current role, Mr. Kalyanam has full P&L and stakeholder responsibility for delivering the E&C portfolio in India, as well as key growth regions including the CIS, Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. Mr. Sunder Kalyanam.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and the distinguished panel members here. A lot has been said about chemtech, and I echo almost everything that Mr. Suri spoke about. It's a fantastic platform. It's one of its kind, and I have been making it to this forum every year since I was introduced to it 4 years ago. For me, it has been a fantastic opportunity to network with a lot of people from the industry, and I can, without hesitation, say that it has also helped me grow myself and grow Petrofac in India. Therefore, a big hand to Chemtech for organizing this event. I think they deserve a lot of kudos. I was not very sure whether I would make it, especially with a lot of travel ban and a lot of travel advisories, and therefore I could not really confirm until about 2 days before the event kicked off. Therefore, and certainly I was not prepared to be on the stage today. Thanks to Chemtech, they have this knack of putting you in the dock, and I very readily accepted to be here. My thinking about the transformation that we are talking about, that the refining industry is going through, I think there's still a lot of work to be done in the refining industry, in India particularly, and I think India has the ability and can add capacity to possibly serve most of the world's demand. And from all the issues that we see, and from everything that we see in how the oil producers are taking a stake in the refining industry in India, is actually a pointer that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of money that's coming in. There's a lot of equity that is coming in. So it's not debt, it's equity. And I think this is going to immensely benefit the refining industry, and along with that, you'll also see a lot of best practices that will come, and India is absolutely capable of assimilating best practices and technology. We have wonderful people in the industry, and also the budding talent in the various universities in India. There's absolutely no dearth of talent. So we are addressing the skill in many ways. The other two issues that this current dispensation of the government, and specifically so Mr. Modi, Narendra Modi, speaks about is skill, speed, and scale. I'm very sure that we are addressing the scale issue. The skill issue, like I said, is possibly in hand. The issue is speed, and I think that's an area where not just the refining industry, many other things that we do in our country needs keen look in. And without hesitation, I can say that there is a huge thrust to get the projects done on time and done in quick time these days. And I can see a huge amount of cooperation that contractors like us get from the end users or the clients. And that, I think, is a big shift as far as I can see. But the one thing possibly we need to address is not just that local area where the project comes up or the site gets transformed from nothing to a great refinery petchem complex, but also the infrastructure that is required to support it. And when I talk about that, I'm also talking about suppliers. I am talking about skills that are required to put huge complexes in place. These are a few areas where I think that we need to really put our thrust on, and that will make a transformational change for this industry specifically. This is something that we need to really look at. The other thing in the last 18 months or so that personally that I have traveled to some of the sites that we manage in India, I do see another big thrust that is being put on safety, and rightly so, for all the right reasons. This is a cultural issue, and this, when I say cultural, I don't mean culture as in a geography. I mean a mindset issue. And I do see that the mindset is changing. There is that need, and there is empowerment at all levels to make sure that we, put up safe executions and safe operations. The theme that we have today is not just transformation, but it also touches upon, specific to this forum, is how do you deal with corrosion issues that are so essential in dealing with operating refineries. I mean, there are lots of things that we can talk about when we really deal with corrosion issues, but from an engineering and construction point of view and not from an operations point of view, I personally feel that there isn't enough emphasis in our HAZOPs. I'm assuming most of you understand what a HAZOP is. It is a hazard which they focus on HAZOP as during the design stage that takes into account everything that goes into building the plant, and then there is a what if question. That is how the session is conducted. I think there has to be something very specific in relation to corrosion related issues. A specific, possibly if you like, a node, like you have the temperature node, you have the pressure node, you have the flow node, something related to that which will question, because then it becomes a preventive and it is built in, and you then are in a better position to monitor it as you operate the plant. You avoid downtimes. You certainly improve the profitability when you avoid downtimes. You avoid costly shutdowns. I think it makes it will make a big difference. That's one area where I feel it needs to be done. The other thing that we need to bear in mind is when we do 3D reviews, we do that for operational issues, we do that for maintenance issues, we do that for various things. When you have flow sheets which are two-dimensional, you don't get to see, how do I put it, dead legs. You don't get to see what you don't want in a plant where you have stagnant fluids, which is a huge cause of concern for corrosion. So there is that area when you do the 3D review. I personally feel that it's an area where most of us, all of us, can also focus on getting some experts, getting metallurgists, getting process engineers to look at specifically from the point of view of mitigating corrosions. The third thing that I also feel is often ignored or not paid enough attention to is change management. You have a wonderfully designed plant. It undergoes several levels of scrutiny. There is a very thorough process when you do it the first time. But then changes are unavoidable. It's impossible to avoid changes. You can minimize it, but you can't avoid it. When we do those changes, somewhere we don't take the same level of, how do I put it, rigor in addressing the questions of what this change is going to do to the original design. Have we in some way compromised the way the plant is supposed to operate by bringing about a change, possibly in a little bit of a hurry? And then comes the changes that you need when you operate a plant. When you're operating a plant, there would be changes. I can cite a lot of OSHA, events, safety events that have been caused as a result of uncontrolled changes or lack of change management, and with disastrous results to the asset, to environment, and to people. So corrosion cannot be taken very lightly. It is loss of containment, simplistically put. But if you take it very lightly, it's going to come and bite you sooner than later. These are the few things from an engineering perspective that I can, or an engineering and construction perspective that I can bring about when we specifically address loss of containment. And I really urge all the industry leaders here in whichever way that they can influence their organizations to very specifically look at this, because the results of loss of containment can be disastrous. On that note, I would like to thank Chemtech for having me here. And irrespective of what my journey is going to be, I would like to be definitely a part of the Chemtech family. Thank you so much.